So what I really want to do in this video is try to make some points that I really don't know if I should make or I should state right now. Because you'll see that in my country, in Chile, we don't have enough space to be yourself. We don't have enough space to think. We don't have enough space to love. And we certainly don't have enough space to create something of value. And when I want to say that we don't have enough space to create something of value, I mean that the higher education in Chile is so messed up that we have to memorize so many things, so many freaking bloody things every day. And as the students, we don't have time for ourselves. We don't have time to create. We don't have time to think, to love, to embrace life, to share with our families. And as a writer, I say that I am dying every day. I am dying every day because I don't have time. I don't have space to create. I don't have space to write my literature. I don't have time to write poetry, nor I have time to be with my family or write literature and write my novels. And I always have to postergate my things. I always have to procrastinate. I always have to say, all right, I am gonna write my novels the next summer, but the next summer comes and neither I have to work or do I have to like do some other stuff or I have to do so many other things. And when I finally get to the point where I sit and I write something, and I'm very excited because the first novel that I was trying to write, it's called Baquedano 1225, and I could write 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row, and that made me feel really like that I was doing something very valuable and I could accomplish one of my dreams. But I still have to write like 4 parts more of this novel. The point is that young people in other countries, such as Germany or the United States, where I've also been, and I've studied there like 1 semester in America and 1 semester in Germany, and I could realize that people there have so much time to do things that they actually love, and the education system, whether it be in Germany or in the United States, of course they do have flaws. Of course they are not perfect, but at least they don't work like ours, because ours in Chile is just like you have to memorize everything. You have to learn things by heart. So you don't have time to think critically about the subjects. And when we try to think critically, then the professor usually says like, you have to learn things the way these things are being taught to you. So the most important thing is the word of the professor. So if you don't follow her way of teaching or his way of teaching, if you think by your own, then you will be wrong in a certain way in the at least in the exams, in the Prüfungen, in the test, you know, like if you don't think, basically lately, if you don't think sort of like in a sort of left-wing crappy shitty thing, like if you don't think like these communists or socialist hidden beings in the academy nowadays, if you don't think like them and if you criticize the things that they are teaching you, you would probably have a lot of problems, because Chile is a country where the truth is something that we have to be really careful about. People don't like truth in Chile. That's the thing. When you speak up out loud and you say things that as the way you think, you would probably find a lot of trouble. And the problem with honesty in Chile is a very big issue, because you're always afraid of, at least when you are a student, because I've been living this thing through the last year, and I was feeling really prosecuted because I was exposing a truth that my university didn't want me to expose, and I did it publicly in a way that so many people could reach by my writing. And then I got stopped by the one unity in my university that I'm not going to get to this subject, because that might bring me some trouble, and I still have 2 years ahead to finish my major in psychology. But anyways, what I want to tell you guys in this video is that if you are in Germany or if you are in the United States, I assume that you guys also have a lot of critiques about your systems. But I want you to know that things there are not as bad as here. We have to learn things by heart here. We are not supposed to think by ourselves in order to resolve issues. And the only way we can do it is by essays. But if you don't follow the thinking pattern of your professor, then you're wrong, or you have a bad grade or a bad mark, and you don't want that. So you have to sort of like camouflage in order to have a good grade. So you have to try to think how your professor should, or like how your professor thinks. And that's really messed up, man. Like, that's really nothing that you wouldn't like to be in that spot. So it's very painful to say these things, because I've been studying 2 majors. I've been studying 2 careers in Chile. I've studied communications and journalism back in 2012, and I've been studying since 2014 psychology. And here the majors are like 5 years each major. Naturally, it depends on your professional area of expertise, but you know, it's really sad, because whenever I want to try to discuss something deeply in a class, you are either stopped by your classmates that are very apologetical about the professors, and they feel really secure by just listening and writing down what he or she might be teaching them. So they feel really oppressed when someone is trying to make a different point, or someone is trying to bring new topics in the conversation with the professor. So it seems to me that in Chile, whenever you have a point to make, you have to be brave enough to state something you think, something you believe to be true. Because normally you're gonna get a lot of trouble by doing so, in a way that a lot of classmates are gonna be like, dude, like, this guy is talking about things that he believes, and that's dangerous. I don't want to have problems with the professor. And so they just put their heads down, and they just write things down. And when you disagree with the professor, it's something that I haven't seen in America or in Germany. Here, the professor usually wants you to think like he or she does think. And so when you have your own opinion, it's dangerous. And I'm not saying that it's a dictatorship of thought for any chance. I'm just saying that individuality in Chile is something, intellectual individuality is something dangerous, because you're putting yourself out there against the mainstream, and the mainstream in Chile is to respect the status quo, the establishment. And the establishment says that the professor is the authority, so you shouldn't criticize authority, nor you should make a point or a different point than authority, because that should be dangerous for you. So you have to be careful every time you state something that it's against what is being taught to you in class. And so the paradox here is that I felt intellectually more secure, more safe. I felt intellectually safer in America and in Germany, but I don't feel intellectually safe in my own country, which is supposedly a democratic country, because here people are always afraid of saying what they think, what they believe, what they love, and they don't even have time to make things they love because they have to work so much for so little money, in comparison with obviously with the first world. I'm talking about the Anglo-Saxon countries, but also the Western European countries. But